there's this concept about never say never. Yeah. So never say like, oh, I would never try this, or oh, I would never want to fall in love and stuff like that, right? So a few years back when I was younger, I always say, I would never like sports. I'm not a sports person. I do a lot of activities, but sports is always something that I'll just put it on, at the last of my list. And a few years back, we always have this perfect figure of like Korean K-pop females, their legs are long and pretty. I'll be like, I want to get that as well. That usual way that how many of us first wanting to work out. So it's honestly the same for me as well. If it's something that is of your priority, you would always be able to find time to do it. It's like no matter how busy we are, most of us, we still have that time to scroll on social media. That consistency, being in control, once you know that you can achieve something small and celebrate it, I feel that that's one of the key things.
Welcome to Living in Control podcast. I'm your host, Phoebe, Operations Manager at InControl Group, an organization with a mission to help others be in control of their lives and careers. We imagine a world in which most people are in control of their lives, a conscious life accompanied by conversion, contentment, and consistency. So today on our podcast, we have a very special guest who is a powerful and inspiring young woman who at just a young age has already achieved so much. And today we're going to talk about how she takes control of all the different roles she has in her life and at the same time takes care of her condition and health in life. So let us welcome Yin Sinn.
Hi everyone, really nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right, so Yin Sinn, if you don't mind, would you like to share a little about what you do and how you started on this journey?
Okay, sure. So actually for myself, I have a couple of roles like what you mentioned earlier. So I do have a day job. I'm actually a digital transformation manager in a corporate MNC. So what I usually do covers, the day job of digital experience, trying to drive digital experience in the organization. But on top of that, I think a lot of people, especially on social media and the rest of the platforms, people know me as the fitness person in Malaysia, in the industry. And some people even have the misconception that, oh, you're doing fitness full-time. Well, actually, fitness is my side hustle or something I do at the side because it's something I truly enjoy. So me and my friends a few years back, we actually co-founded a gym called Ozone Fitness. It's basically a new concept in Malaysia, trying to bring about the awareness of calisthenics and obstacle sports into the Malaysia fitness scene, because this is something that is actually quite popular in all the other countries, but not so in Malaysia. And that's where we see that fun and excitement on bringing this energy of calisthenics workout into the Malaysia fitness industry. So yeah, pretty much that's also one thing that I do on the side, besides my day job. Besides that, people might also see me in other scenes because I do a little bit of talk related to wellness. I'm also a brand ambassador for a few fitness related brands. I'm currently also still learning my Japanese language. So that's where a lot of things is happening, but I would say it's pretty much interesting. So in regards to fitness itself, like I think just now you mentioned, how did I started the journey? Well, I would say for me, it's because there's this concept about never say never. Yeah. So never say like, oh, I would never try this, or oh, I would never want to fall in love and stuff like that, right? So a few years back when I was younger, I always say, I would never like sports. I'm not a sports person. I do a lot of activities, but sports is always something that I'll just put it on, at the last of my list. But never know that it's actually one of the new chapters in my life that I have not explored, right? So that's where fast forward to when I started working, going into corporate scene. That's where some of my friends started going to the gym, and I decided to try it as well. And it really brought up into a whole new world, a whole new chapter in my life. Right now, fitness is something that is part of my lifestyle. It's no longer just working out, trying to look good. It's really that passion of enjoying that whole process, the people that I meet, and also looking forward to like inspire more people to also join and actually enjoy working out. It's not something suffering. That's what a lot of people think.
All right. So that's very interesting. Since young I like sports, but I have never, I'm the opposite of you now. I just don't do sports at all. But okay. So how do you juggle between having a full-time corporate job, like you mentioned, and also being a co-founder of a fitness center, plus being a fitness trainer, I believe a lot of other roles as well?
Yes. So for me, just like what you said, a lot of people have said, how do you manage your time?
Mm-hmm.
Well, to be honest, I don't have enough time to do all the things that is in the list as well. But to me, I like this concept that time is highly elastic, which means that if it's something that is of your priority, you will always be able to find time to do it. It's like no matter how busy we are, most of us we still have that time to scroll on social media, right? Because
Yeah.
although it's not the most important thing, but we kind of prioritize it for some reason, right? So for me, I go with this concept of prioritizing, and I have like a year. Well, the year itself, usually I will set a few main goals of what I want to do. Actually, you can probably see it's kind of like over here, my 2022 goals. And what I'll do
Okay.
is I'll kind of break it down to monthly as well. So if let's say this is the 5 main things that I want to achieve in the year, when do I need to do it? Like, maybe I break it down by month. And
Understood.
also what I'll do is I will usually have a daily to-do list. So it's not
Mm.
something very comprehensive, but it's just something very simple. So I will usually have about, let's say, 5 main things that I know I really need to prioritize to get these things done. And I will just make sure that along the day, I try to achieve, let's just say 5 small things for that day itself. And before I end my day, I'll just take a quick look at that list. Did I manage to do it? And, of course, that's where it helps me, because from the biggest picture, I kind of break it down into monthly and then what I need to do on the daily basis. So that helps me in tracking. And like you see this whole what that's happening on the back, it helps me to track as well. Like, main things that I want to do for the month or for the year. Have I been able to do it? Have I been able to keep track? And that helps a lot for me to kind of juggle the multiple things that I'm doing at the same time.
Yeah. So creating big goals and then smaller goals and smaller goals even, and then always do your reflection every day, whether you have
Yes.
finished those goals or not. Right. That is something very important. That is something that we also teach in Control as well. So always have your goals in line. Yeah. Okay. You already mentioned how you organize it. You have a daily to-do list, and it's just that 5 mini things that you must achieve in that day. So how does a day in your life look like? What do you do since you wake up in the morning?
Okay, so as you know, because I'm a corporate person as well, right? So I kind of ran away from the 9 to 5, or actually it's more than 9 to 5 sometimes. Yeah, work can be quite taxing because I work with all the employees globally. So sometimes I do have night calls and all, but typically I would have about 9 to at least 7 p.m. It's the work time, yeah, where I need to really just sit down and get those work done. But what I try to do, and especially for the last 2 years because of pandemic, that most of us, we have the chance to start working from home, it gives me the extra time. I believe you can relate to that as well. The extra time that we have in the morning, because we no longer need to travel and stuff like that. So for that extra 1 hour, I still try to wake up at the same time, but I try to use that 1 hour to establish a simple morning routine. Yeah. So I'll start my day with the morning routine. And I know there's a lot of books and a lot of talks about morning routine, and people would think like, oh, I need to meditate every single day, or I need to do workout every single day. But I take the approach of morning routine a little bit different. So how I like to do it is that I have about 3 or 4 activities that I can choose during the morning routine. Because let's face it, some days we wake up and we're super tired. We don't want to go for a workout, right? Some days you wake up, you feel like doing something else. So I have a few, for example, meditation, yoga, or it could be reading. And I will pick one of the activity. So at least it gives myself that a little bit of that flexibility as well, since it's the first thing that I want to do.
Depending on the energy you have. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But at the same time, I still establish that, for that at least like 30 to 45 minutes, I'm doing one of these activities. So I start my day doing something that I kind of enjoy, and then only I hop into my corporate job, right? That's where there's that long hours throughout the whole day. And I also want to mention that diet is also very important. How you strategize your diet throughout the day actually affects the energy level as well. So I usually put quite a bit of emphasis as well as how I plan my meal. Whether do I do my breakfast? If I want to do my breakfast, making sure that it's not something that's too too heavy because it affects your day. Same goes to lunch. That's what I
Yeah,
do as
true.
well. Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, I'm so full, I want to sleep
Yes,
right
then you
after
get the
lunch.
food coma after after lunch. Yeah,
Yes,
so you
yes,
kind of want
yes.
to strategize that a little bit. And
Mhm.
usually after work, I would still incorporate exercises. So that's where I might go over to the gym, Ozone Fitness. That's where I meet the people there, have some fun, have some workout. Sometimes it also covers all the other side hustles to do, like video
Right.
editing or video shooting, etc. Then I'll kind of do it towards the end of the day. So yeah, pretty much I would say that's how my day look like. It's pretty packed, about almost the whole time, but I enjoy every bits and bits of it, and I try to incorporate small little rest break times as well whenever I can, just so that I get a little bit of rest and recharge myself as well in between.
So, starting your day right and starting your morning right with something that you enjoy, it's important.
Yeah.
So, how do you spend your free time if you have any free time? Because you have a very, very busy life. So, how do you,
Yeah.
sort of like you mentioned, you have to take care of yourself. So, how do you disconnect and just have fun and not think about all the things that, all the goals that you have, but just, to disconnect?
Well, people always also say me, you're very busy, you don't have time to rest. That's what my mom would tell me as well. But instead, I feel that no, I have a lot of time. That's why I can do so many things because of the prioritization that I talk about.
Okay.
For me, free time, what I like to do is reading. Reading is like my therapy. I just love reading.
Okay.
And I know some people think that it's also another very stressful thing, but it's not for me. I
Okay.
kind of enjoy it and I see that as a therapy. So whenever I have time or whenever I can disconnect, I even like just taking one day off. Let's just say if it's my annual leave, I like to just take one day off and enjoy a book. Like I don't need to do anything else and I can just read the whole day. To me, that's also a luxury. If I can do that, decide, at a beach, at a vacation, that will be even better. That's like my ideal way of disconnecting from the world and going into a whole new, different world, right? Through the book itself. Yes.
Yeah, now we know what is your retirement plan.
Yes, I always tell my friend that if you suddenly see I disappear, right, probably I would be at Bali, one of the beach, reading there, hiding at a corner. But too bad, last 2 years was pandemic. I didn't manage to do that. Let's see if I can do that this year.
All right. Okay. And we will be glad to give you one of Dr. Eza's book to have a read as well.
Oh, yes, looking forward to that.
Okay. So, all right. So how did you start the journey into fitness and wellness? I believe you mentioned that you weren't a person that, like fitness or did sports, and it has always been your lowest priority. So you
Yes.
mentioned that your friends were the one that brought you into gym and all, but how did it really, when was that moment that it, clicked and you're like, I want to start a gym?
Yes. So I think two parts to it, right? So the trigger point when I first started is probably very similar to many people. I started working, like I said, a corporate job. I went to a corporate scene for about a year or two, and you start feeling like, oh no, I gained weight already. And for me, I'm the hourglass type of body shape as well. So which means that
Okay.
my hip is slightly wider. And a few years back, we always have this perfect figure of like Korean K-pop females, their legs are long and pretty. I'll be like, I want to get that as well. That usual way that how many of us first wanting to work out. So it's honestly the
Correct.
same for me as well. Then that's where I started to see my colleagues, my friends going to the gym. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna try. And the same thing, many people, we started going classes like HIIT classes and stuff like that. But I'm very glad that I actually did that because that's where the fun begins. Like I mentioned, that's where I start meeting like-minded people who are into fitness and they enjoy it, and they started like asking me, hey, are you coming again next week? And it become a fun social activity. And so that's why, to me, when it comes to fitness journey, always it's good to find a healthy fitness community to be in. If you don't have a community, it's fine. Maybe even have a accountability partner, like just one fitness partner. It keeps that journey a little bit more interesting. And on days that you're demotivated to work out, like, oh, someone is waiting for me, or you have this kind of bond and connection. So that was how I went into it. And subsequently, what triggered or inspired us to like start the gym and stuff like that, it was more of like what I mentioned to you. We like the sports calisthenics, which is something that we don't really see much in Malaysia. And it started off as a community as well. We were working out at one of the BU2 parks in PJ, a few friends, and then the numbers got expanded to a point that a lot of people started coming over to the park and join us to work out every week. When there were like at a point there was like 50 people coming to join us in the workout, then we would be like, okay, this is a lot. And it inspired us to say that, hey, how about finding a space and share this to more people? So it was really more of, like I said, a hobby, passion kind of activity that translate into us starting up this gym and wanting to continue this to get now sort of as a business. But at the end of the day, I still see it's really of a community building activity as well.
So would you like to explain a little about what is calisthenics and, for the audience to know what it is, and then maybe how they can join and how they can come together with their friends?
Yeah, sure. So to pretty simply, calisthenics is what we would say it's a bodyweight exercise. Yeah. So there's different types of fitness activities nowadays, right? We can go to the gym, we can lift weights, we can do yoga, we can do cycling, badminton. But calisthenics is what we call bodyweight exercise, something that you can do anytime, anywhere. It's as simple as doing a squats itself. It's a basic calisthenics movement. What's interesting in calisthenics movement is you can go all the way from a very basic, like what I mentioned, a squat, to advanced movements like handstand, muscle ups and planche, those kind of bodyweight movements still, but much more challenging. So they also say it's sort of like, gymnastic is also a bodyweight exercise, but it's an advanced bodyweight exercise, right? But calisthenics is somewhere in between, slightly lower, but in between, but very similar. It challenges yourself to be able to handle your own body weight. And to me, that's very interesting. Instead of being able to lift like 200 kg, I want to be able to know how to lift my own body weight. Let's say I need a survival skill, right? I'm in the jungle. I want to hold on to the tree. How do I hold on to the tree? Do I have the strength to do that, right? So those are the things that we get to explore in what we call the bodyweight exercises, calisthenics.
Okay, and it doesn't require a lot of equipment, so anybody can do it anywhere.
Exactly. So that's the concept, and we were quite, I would say calisthenics athletes are quite lucky in that sense during the pandemic, because we were able to, one of the easiest, to be able to shift to working out at home.
Working out at home, yes.
You need very minimal equipments, and all you need to do is you need to know how to handle your body weight and the techniques to use your body weight to make the exercises challenging enough for you. So that's also one of the things that we learn about in calisthenics, the angle or how you place your body, how you put your hands, every single thing affects the intensity of the workout that you're getting.
Okay. And anybody of any age can join, or is there a specific age?
Yes, definitely. I think one of the beauty about calisthenics and bodyweight exercises, it's for all ages, right? So if let's say you're an elderly or you're going through some injury, lifting up your hands, doing movements like this, it's also bodyweight movements, right? It can go all the way from very basic things, like I said, according to your current level, all the way to something advanced. So it's open for everyone, and it, like I said, it's just knowing the techniques of how do I apply the right level of intensity to myself, to my level, and how you progress from there.
Okay, very interesting. All right, so juggling with the fitness life and also your busy life. So what are some of the tips that you can give our audience for all those who have the same busy life as well as wanting to stay in control of their own condition?
Yeah, so I think for me, the first thing, it's the awareness itself, right? You want to be aware that this is something that you want to do, and that's where you start setting the goals for it. And when we say set the goal, it's not just, I want to work out and that's it. Set the goal and make it a priority. And how to make a priority, like for me, I would write it down. I would make sure that this is something that's on the board or something that I tell my friends, making people aware that this is something that I want to commit to it, and this is something I want to prioritize. And once you get that mindset and that awareness right, of course, that's where you need a game plan, right? You need a strategy to make sure that happens. And I realize, especially when it comes to fitness, if you're talking about it, people tend to set the goal that is too big. Oh, I want to be able to do 10 pull-ups, in the first month, or I want to lose 5 kg in a month. People set really stretched out very big goals, especially in the fitness industry, because they just think that people have the misconception that it's really easy to achieve. It's not, right? So my recommendation is, once you know what you want already, this is something you commit to, set smaller goals. Small wins give you that kind of sense of accomplishment, and it keeps you going in that journey. So like for myself as well, I know that, for example, my goal is to be able to do a handstand, but it doesn't mean that I have to achieve that within the month. I can go for the simpler movements first, things like achieving headstand first, things like achieving elbow stand. These are some of the easier variations before doing the handstand itself. So instead of feeling demotivated that you can't do a handstand, look for the small wins in between, and that puts you kind of in control as well into your whole strategy. And once you feel in control, that's where you'll be more motivated and you'll be more confident to continue in this journey, so that you don't drop out easily. I think one of the main challenges, people start running in the first on Monday, and that's it. They do a 20 km, they stop for the whole week or the whole month, right? So that consistency, being in control, once you know that you can achieve something small and celebrate it, I feel that that's one of the key things.
All right, we're going to move on from the fitness and then talk about your full-time job. So what are some of the prejudice or biasness you have I'm pretty sure your company knows that you have a side hustle, So what are some of the biases that you have faced being a woman who has a full-time job, but also having a successful side career and side hustle?
Yeah, I think for me, putting the woman conversation aside first, looking into having multiple roles and how people view it, how I see it is that I make sure that I try to do 100% to each of the areas to my best ability, right? If it's something that I couldn't commit to, I would usually say no. So when it comes to a corporate job, like for myself, I place a lot of emphasis on my corporate role and my corporate career as well, in terms of my career development. So if that is something that I prioritize during my work itself, I give full attention. I don't, try to say, oh, I do this, and I say, sorry, I need to go for, my fitness, or I need to run other things, right? If that is a priority, it's a full attention of whatever that I'm doing at that moment. So at one moment, do one thing at a time. Right? That's also a key thing. Fitness is sort of my hobby. It's at the side. So I make sure that I only do those activities outside of my work. If I ever have to do, let's say, any fitness related activities during the day itself, then what I'll usually do is I make sure that I take the time off, right? I take my leaves, and so that I can fully focus on, let's just say, the fitness activity that I'm about to do. So to me, it's having that clear segregation and people around you being aware that you are really committed to the work that you're doing at that moment itself. Then I don't think that is a problem that you have to juggle. Usually this problem is when you mix things up, right? You multitask, you mix things up, then people see like, you're doing too many things, you're not focused enough. So having that focus, it's key, and that's where I feel that it sets that expectation to the people around me as well. Now coming back to talking about women and what kind of challenges that we face, right? I would say that different industries, there's different scenes for women, right? So for me, my corporate as well as fitness, my corporate is more of a IT shared services environment. So IT environment also is quite male dominant to a certain extent. Same goes to fitness, is also a pretty male dominant industry. So being in a male dominant industries, people always would say that, sometimes women, we are on the losing side because our voice is smaller, we have lesser representation. But I would say that everything that people say is a perspective. It's not necessarily the truth, right? I like to see it from the perspective that being the minority sets as an opportunity for us. Because there's so few of us, that's where we have more opportunity, right? So when I see this from this perspective and from this lens, I'll share a few examples. Personally, I really felt that it's an opportunity that I managed to get because I'm a female. For instance, fitness event, let's just say, or a fitness activity, they're easily going to find 5 male trainers, but it's so hard or difficult to get one female trainer. And what do you think? If you are that one female trainer, obviously you get a high chance of being selected as well, right? And so to me, see it as an opportunity because we are so unique. not all the female trainers is out there. But let's just say if you need to be able to train another female and the preference is to have a female trainer, again, you stand a higher chance. So what I'll say is that looking into the opportunities in the industry itself and try to leverage, know your strengths and skills and use that to your best ability. So that's how I kind of juggle through for both of my different corporate career as well as my fitness as well.
So what advice would you give the younger generation that if they want to achieve as much as you have, because nowadays I think it has been going around that the only job you have from 9 to 5 will definitely not be able to sustain your lifestyle, right? You definitely have to have side incomes, side hustles, and we know that you do have that. So what would be one of the advice that you would give to the younger generation?
So for me, there's this concept about design thinking that I'm sure you've heard of and a lot of people know about as well. And we always think of design thinking as a corporate thing, right? Or in businesses, people use design thinking, people use agile. But I've recently read a book and I really enjoy it as well. It says that, we can also apply the concept of design thinking to our life. So what it means is that ask yourself, you try to think yourself as that designer to design your life itself. Ask two key questions to yourself at the beginning of your life as well. So one, it's, let's just say if you're younger, right? We can think of what you want people to write about. Let's say you have a Wikipedia, all right? Assuming that we don't have one, right? I don't have one. So assuming if it's a Wikipedia, what you want to see when people log on to the name, people type your name, what people see. And of course, there's another larger question, a big question is like, what you want people to say in your funeral in the future, right? Is it a loving wife? Is it someone that is inspiring, a teacher? So putting these very big questions, putting some thoughts to it actually helps shape the type of life that you want to live, right? The purpose of your life. So we always tend to link ourselves to be the job that we do. Oh, I'm a fitness trainer, or I am a digital consultant in a company. We just link ourselves to the career. But what happens if, out of blue moon, you stop doing it, right? Due to some reasons, what happens? So think of the larger picture of how you want to design your life. What's the main thing? What's the purpose of it? And I said, once you get that idea of like, what's the main thing that inspire you the most, then I would say kind of explore as many things as possible in that area and enjoy that journey along the way. Don't just say that, oh, when I reach there or when I'm rich enough, then only I'll enjoy life. Enjoy each part and every step that you take in the journey. I think that's what makes life a little bit more colorful, a little bit more vibrant on a daily basis.
Great advice. Seems very young, as I found out, because all this I found out online, right? So
yeah,
you have
that's
always
quite
been
impressed.
the FBI in me came out. So you've always been on top of the class, head prefect, valedictorian, very impressive, president of clubs, assistant captain. So how do you always strive for excellence and stay so active? And was it a person or a mentor that you had that always pushed you to become the best?
I would say that for me, since young, I have been quite active, as what you've just mentioned. Mainly because I felt like I'm a bit more, I would say, someone who likes to fill my day up with a lot of activities. Yeah. And the reason why I like to do that is because I like to connect with people. I like to meet new people. I like to connect with people and try to understand and also different cultures. So to me, joining activities is one of the fastest and best way for me to be able to meet new people and to learn new things. And just like I mentioned to you, I'm someone who loves studying. Like literally, I love studying and reading. I like to, like even now, I would be almost every year I will be still probably doing a certification, studying for something. And to me, it's the idea of wanting to learn, wanting to grow, that got me into this multiple activities and like, the small little achievements that you mentioned just now. I see it as the learning opportunity when I go into these activities. And of course, once I go into it already, that's where I prioritize, I commit to it, and that's how I kind of got all those things. But it's more of one thing at a time as well, like I mentioned. Yes, probably there's 5 things in for the year, but I don't really try to put things all together. I still focus on things at their designated time, and just so that I can truly experience whatever activity that I'm doing in that specific time. And of course, in terms of who inspire me, I think having a positive community, surrounded by a positive community, is very important. I always have a very supportive mom and sister when it comes to all the activities that I'm doing. And same goes to the friends and community as well. Try to, stay in the circle of people that is also positive, it's also encouraging you or doing the similar thing or probably even ahead of you, that you want to be inspired. Yeah. Yep. So that's also very important.
Circle.
Community. Yep. Yes.
All right. You mentioned that your mom and your sister are both very supportive of you. So just to take you out a little bit from the questions, would you mind telling us a little bit about the relationship you have with your mom and your sister, and how do you, despite the busy life, always remember to keep this relationship?
Yeah, sure. So we are really close, pretty close with my mom, both my sister and myself. We're really close with her. She probably knows everything of what we are doing, what we're eating on a daily basis. Like right now, I'm living outside. I'm living in KL, and they're back at hometown. But we have the group chat, right? That we will connect and we chat almost every single day. I think one thing that's really nice is that being able to chat with each other like friends. Yeah, you no longer have, you always feel more comfortable when you're chatting with your friend, right? And I'm very glad that my mom is kind of always be like that friend that we have, that we can go to. Even, when you have boyfriend, like, oh, I think I like this guy, your crush, you can share with her. I think that's something that is very nice when you have that kind of connection between the family. And, being three girls, that's where we can share almost everything, right, under the sun. And that's how we bond. And it's just the little things, right? Like I said, being able to connect to each other on a daily basis, simple things like knowing what each other is doing, what each other is eating, having that kind of little conversations is where you feel that you have people around you, right, throughout that journey, and that you're not lonely any time of the day.
So, all right. So we go back into the questions. So now that you're in the corporate world as in your IT shared services, and then also as a fitness instructor and co-founder, was that something that you wanted to do when you were young, or what was the ambition that you wanted to be when you were young? Because we always go like, I'm a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an engineer.
Yeah, this is a tough one. So of course, there are the standard ones of like wanting to be a lawyer. But when I was even younger, I think all the while, actually probably even up to now, I always like roles that it's things like radio DJ, MC, TV anchor, probably something like what you're doing right now, right? A podcast. That's something new right now, but those days it's radio, DJs and stuff like that. I always like all this type of roles, and even like actress, right? Being an actress. And if I look into it, it's more of communications related, because going back to the point of me liking to connect with people, meeting new people. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've always liked all those roles when I was young. It's kind of like my ambition. Obviously, I didn't really go pursue into that professionally, but I'm quite glad that certain things that I'm doing right now has close resemblance as well. Yeah. So it's like, for example, I like being an MC. So I do a bit of MCing here and there for events and stuff like that. But at the same time, I continue to use this skill even for like my work related. So let's say work related, if there's events and stuff like that, that's where they'll ask me to be an MC, and I'll gladly do it. And same goes to little things, right? Like right now, some of the things that I'm doing in fitness, it correlates back to this few things, and I'm glad, because at least I'm sort of still using the skills or doing the things that I've always wanted to. Yeah.
Okay. So even with so many things achieved right now, is there anything else that you want to do or you would like to achieve? Of course, we have your goals, your yearly goals, right? But is there something that is out of your goals, out of the career that you have, or out of fitness that you would like to achieve?
So I think you mentioned a few times like achieving a lot of things, right? But I would say that it really depends as well how we see it, right? So for me, I see achievements as more of like, I would say, steps along the journey. So it's just like every step that you're doing, or or we can say like every chapter, right, of each book, it's just going through that different experience. So instead of saying like what I want to achieve next, I would say what I want to explore or like experience is probably more of activities that allow me to explore different cultures, a little bit beyond Malaysia, because I have spent most of my years in Malaysia and in this hemisphere and doing things here. But I felt like there's a lot of things that we would learn and explore as well if we were to be able to explore different cultures. So I was really hoping that it could be my career shift, or it could be something related to fitness, that I'll be able to look and explore different cultures around the world. And if it's in the area of giving back to the society, more of like ESG and volunteering, that would be something that it's probably, I would say, like kind of like my calling, that I would hope to be able to eventually do more of it. So right now I do a little, but obviously with the things that I'm running right now, I can't really spare a lot of my time onto these activities. But yep, that's definitely an area that I would really like to sort of explore. And of course, if I can achieve something in those, that will be even better. Yeah,
and ultimately to contribute and give back to the community, right?
Yes.
Okay, we are almost coming to an end. So another 2 more questions. What is one legacy that you would like to leave behind for the next generation, or even your future children in the future?
Well, I would say, because being in the fitness industry, and right now it's like kind of like the female figure in the fitness industry as well, I would say that I would like to look into furthering the women empowerment in the fitness industry, or at least just getting female to feel confident to start working out, because there's still a lot of females out there who feel intimidated, for instance, trying to step into the gym for the first time, or trying to step into going to a fitness class, because we say, oh, I don't know how to do it, right? And we don't feel confident. So to me, it's that confidence that I'll try to bring out in women, in moving into fitness, starting out, or going into the fitness industry. I think that, in the day in life, that age that we are living today, being strong and feminine, it's at the same time, it's possible, right? We can lift weights and we can still be feminine. It doesn't mean that, when you lift weight and then you become very muscular and you're very masculine, you're no longer feminine.
True.
Yeah, so I think it's really that balance of strong and feminine. At the same time, we are independent. We're able to lift things ourselves. We don't need to rely on someone else, but doesn't mean that we're not elegant or we're not feminine, right? So to me, it's that kind of shift in mindset that I hope to see and hope to inspire more people to look into it and to understand it. That social pressure that we face, right? Because sometimes we get all the social pressures, especially females, when we have some muscle and the guys will be like, oh, you're so muscular, you're more muscular than me. And you get that social pressure, be like, oh, am I too big? Should I stop working out? So I think it's gaining that confidence and being in control, taking charge, and say that, yes, I have some muscle, but I'm healthy, right? This is me being very fit, being very healthy, and feeling good about myself, right? So taking that control, not being pressured into these kind of social comments, and continue to strive. So that's really what I would hope to continue driving and motivating more females when it comes to being able to take charge of their fitness journey.
And of course, on the other side, also inspiring a lot of younger generations, especially because you spoke about the female, but the male as well, to accept and, realize that this is something. Because I believe that all these social comments that we're having, it's a condition that started from a young age, and that's how it created that thinking. But at a young age, if you teach them and condition them with realistic and good ideas, then it will be instilled in them.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so last question. So what do you think is an InControl life or career?
InControl life, to me, it goes into taking charge of every single day that you have. Yeah. And when I say taking charge of every single day that we have, it's the concept of making each day count, right? Because every day we won't be able to get back each day that we've just passed by, right? Every day we're just moving to the next page in our life. And to me, it's trying to live every day to the fullest. And when I say fullest, it's not trying to say that it's going to be the most productive or the busiest day, but it's rich in terms of your experience, rich in terms of how you are feeling, right? And if you know that you live through every single day doing things that you want to, or doing things that is inspiring you or inspiring others, that's where you know that you're living an in-control life, because you take charge of every single day that we have. We all don't know how many days that we have left, right? We don't know. So instead of thinking about 10 years down the line what I want to be doing, think about what you want to be doing and what you can achieve and experience in today's life. And to me, if you have that kind of awareness and have that kind of mindset, it puts you into a very rich position of being in control of your life every single day. It could be a day that I just want to lie down and do nothing and recharge, right? But having that kind of control helps. And to me, it's like, when you flash back your life, assuming that your life is a movie later on, just make sure that it's a story that's worth watching, right? You feel proud that, I've experienced the life the way I want it to be. It's not necessarily that you've achieved 10, 20 things in life, but at least you look back, you enjoy the experiences that you have, you enjoy the things that you've done before or the people that you've inspired. And to me, that's how I see as living a in-control life.
Yeah, thank you so much, Yin Sinn. That is very inspiring. Yes, we should always remember to live in the present instead of looking into too much further in the future. I mean, due to COVID, I'm pretty sure a lot of us have met or seen or heard of people who have, suddenly just lost their loved ones or lost their life also. Yeah. And we start thinking like, what could we have done, right? Yeah. Gave us a wake-up call, definitely, that we very, very much needed.
Yes.
All
so
right,
living in present is very important. Yeah.
Correct. Okay, so we have come to an end of this interview. So right now, I'm going to move on to the game since we have about like 15 minutes left. It's just a very short game. Okay. And then I will ask you 5 questions of would you rather, and you can either elaborate on it or not, or maybe I will ask you if you want to elaborate on it. So all right, so let's start. Okay. Sure. So would you rather stay in or out on a Friday night?
That's tough one. I didn't expect staying in for Friday night.
And why is that?
I think probably towards the end of the week, I would like to just take a break, recharge, probably watch a good movie.
Okay. And second question. If you have the ability to see 10 minutes into the future or 150 years into the future, which one would you rather do?
I would look into 150 years.
Okay. What would you want
Bitcoin
to see?
Or I don't know, any big trends, right? And then you can make sure that you're rich enough, then you can do all the things that you want to do.
Yeah. Okay, very smart. Okay, would you rather labor or like work under a hot sun or an extremely cold weather?
Extremely cold weather.
Not a fan of a hot.
Well, we are Malaysians, right? So we always hope for something cooler.
That's true. Okay, would you rather be able to speak any language or be able to communicate with animals?
Oh, okay, speak any language, because I'm learning languages.
The cultural
so to me
person.
that's something very fascinating.
Okay. Okay, and last question. Would you rather be able to take back anything you have said or hear any conversation that is about you?
Wow, the second one, it's very, very tempting. Hear conversations about you.
Yeah, but you never know what you might hear.
Yeah, but that gives us a bit of self-awareness, self-awareness about what you are, what people perceive of you. Hopefully, we don't take it too personally, but it's good to have that self-awareness. So yeah, I'll probably choose the second one.
All right. Okay. So thank you so much, Yin Sinn, for this session, and it was very enjoyable. Thank you, everybody, for listening to our podcast and YouTube. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and you can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn for more episodes like this in the future. And if you would like to learn more about calisthenics, or if you would like a personal trainer, you can head on over to Ozone Fitness page, which we'll put in the description below. So see you in our next episodes, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for having me.